All right, so get this. Duolingo just had their Q4 2024 earnings call. And, well, let's just say things are getting really interesting over there. We're talking record-breaking user growth, a really popular AI-powered feature, and some pretty clear hints about where this EdTech giant is headed next.
Yeah, it really does feel like they're hitting their stride. You
Yeah.
know, I just look at the numbers since their IPO, like 3.5 years ago now. They've added, wait for it, 30 million daily active users.
Wow.
Pretty much tripled their bookings.
Yeah.
And they've reached a 25.7% adjusted EBITDA margin in 2024.
Yeah, those are some serious gains, and Q4 was no exception, right? Daily active users went up to 40 million. That's a 51% jump year over year.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they hit all-time highs for, well, everything really: subscriber numbers, bookings, revenue, and adjusted EBITDA. So, I mean, how are they doing this? What's fueling this insane growth spurt? Let's dig in a little bit.
Well, one big standout is Duolingo Max, you know, their premium tier.
Yeah, with the AI.
Yeah, exactly. With the AI-powered conversation feature, it's called Video Call. They've got their AI tutor, Lily, and it's already grabbed 5% of their total subscribers, which is pretty impressive. And the engagement numbers are amazing, especially among English language learners.
Yeah, and it's not just, any kind of engagement, right? English learners are using Max like twice as much as learners at other languages. It seems like they've really found something that works for that segment.
Definitely. And we can't forget about their family plan. That's been a home run for them too. It now makes up 23% of their total subscriber base. And get this, it has higher retention and lifetime value than individual plans. So they figured out how to keep families engaged and using the platform long term.
Okay, so we've got record growth, we've got these successful new features, but what about the future? Where is Duolingo headed in 2025? Any hints about that?
Well, their projections are pretty impressive. They're expecting a 25% year-over-year jump in bookings, and they think they'll hit a major milestone, exceeding $1 billion in bookings for the year. And a lot of that growth is expected to come from, continued strong DAU growth, especially in Q1, which is going to be driven by subscription bookings. They're hoping to see daily active users somewhere in the mid 40 millions.
So that's pretty ambitious.
Yeah.
But can they keep growing like this and, still maintain profitability? Can they do both?
Well, they're predicting their adjusted EBITDA margin will hit 27.5% in 2025. Now, there might be a little bit of a dip in gross margin because of the AI costs associated with Max. But, overall, it looks like they're striking a good balance between growth and profitability.
Okay, so they're doing well in pretty much every area, expanding into new areas like math and music and investing heavily in AI. Sounds like Duolingo is a company that's not afraid to take risks and really bet on the future of education.
Yeah, they are definitely playing the long game. It'll be interesting to see how these bets pan out. One thing that really stood out to me was their approach to making education accessible. They're acknowledging that the price point for Max, especially in certain markets, could be a bit of a barrier. I'm curious to see if they'll adjust their pricing strategies as AI costs go down to reach a wider audience, maybe even a global audience.
Yeah, that's a really important point. It's one thing to have this amazing technology, but it's another to actually make it accessible to the people who need it the most.
Yeah.
And I think their ultimate success will depend on their ability to balance innovation with affordability.
For sure. Another thing they're doing is focusing on intermediate English learners. They've identified a gap in the market, and they're really focusing on building content and features that are specifically for that segment. And, word of mouth is incredibly powerful. As more and more people realize that Duolingo isn't just for beginners anymore, we could see a huge surge in user growth, especially among those folks looking to, improve their English skills.
Yeah, which makes sense, when you consider that English is by far the most in-demand language on their platform. It makes up about half of their user base, right?
Exactly. And their decision to prioritize content creation for advanced English learners first is strategic too. The more advanced learners they can attract and keep, the more they can really showcase how effective the platform is for achieving fluency. And that, in turn, strengthens their reputation and brings in even more users.
So it's like a positive feedback loop, right? Success breeds more success.
Exactly. And the faster they can create and launch new content and new courses, the faster they can expand and cater to even more learners with different needs. It's a race against time, but it seems like they're well equipped to handle it.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but before we move on, let's take a little detour. Let's go into the realm of speculation for a bit. Those outrageous but plausible trade ideas we like to brainstorm. Well, get ready because things are about to get a little crazy.
Oh, I'm always up for a good thought experiment.
All right, so first things first, folks, this is purely for entertainment purposes. Okay?
Yeah.
Definitely not financial advice. Remember, all investments come with risks, and you should always do your own research before making any decisions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just think of this as a playful exploration, playing with possibilities based on what we've learned, just getting those mental gears turning.
Okay, so here's our first wild trade idea. The AI-powered education boom. Duolingo's going all in on AI, and that's not just, a company-specific move. I think it signals a bigger trend. What if this is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg for AI in education?
Oh, that is an interesting thought. I mean, we're already seeing AI used in a bunch of different ways in education, from personalized learning platforms to even automated grading systems. But Duolingo, especially with Max, they're really pushing the boundaries. So what if their success inspires, like a whole new wave of EdTech companies leveraging AI to create even more personalized and engaging learning experiences?
Yeah, exactly. Imagine all these companies from early childhood education all the way up to like professional development, all using AI to tailor learning to each person's individual needs and goals. It would be high risk for sure, high reward, but the potential upside is massive.
That's a bold vision, but it's not impossible. The question is which companies are in the best position to really capitalize on this potential boom. Are they already out there, or are they still waiting to emerge? I think that's where the real digging and the analysis begins.
And that's where the fun starts, right? We're not giving you all the answers here. What we're giving you are the questions, the prompts to get you started on your own research and your own explorations.
Exactly. That's what makes it so exciting. We're all learners here, constantly looking for new insights and new perspectives.
Okay, you ready for another crazy one?
Bring it on.
All right, so how about this? Short, Rosetta Stone. Long, Duolingo. I know, it's a little spicy, but hear me out. Duolingo is already outpacing Rosetta Stone when it comes to user growth and innovation, and their focus on AI could just, push them even further ahead.
The classic pairs trade, right? Betting on one company's decline while while banking on another one's success. Yeah, it's definitely high volatility, but the logic is there. Duolingo's approach, with the gamified learning and the affordability, it just seems to be resonating with learners, especially younger generations. And if they can just keep executing on their AI strategy, they could totally dominate the language learning market, and Rosetta Stone might get left behind.
And don't forget, it's not just language learning anymore, right? They're expanding into math and music. They want to be that one-stop learning platform, which could really solidify their position and bring in those users who might have gone somewhere else before.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a scenario worth considering. Of course, there are risks. Rosetta Stone could adapt. Duolingo's AI bets could backfire. And, the market can always surprise you. But if you're bullish on Duolingo's long-term prospects, then this trade idea might be worth looking into.
Yeah, food for thought for sure. And I bet this is going to spark some interesting debates among our listeners.
Oh, I can't wait to hear their reactions and their counter arguments.
Yeah.
Because it's through those conversations that we refine our thinking and come up with new angles.
Exactly. So what do you think about these trade ideas? What are your initial thoughts? And what other wild but plausible scenarios can you imagine based on this latest earnings call?
Just remember, there are no right or wrong answers here, right? It's about exploring the possibilities, considering different perspectives, and ultimately, you making your own informed decisions.
Very well said. We've covered a lot in this deep dive, and it's clear that Duolingo is a company to watch, in the coming years. Their AI bets are ambitious, and their expansion beyond language learning could totally reshape the EdTech landscape.
Oh, absolutely. It's a thrilling time to be following this industry, and I'm very eager to see how Duolingo's, journey unfolds.
Me too. All right, folks, so that's it for part one of our deep dive into Duolingo's Q4 2024 earnings call. We'll be back soon with part two, where we'll get into some of the finer details and see what the potential impact of their AI strategy could be on the broader education market. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Last time, we explored Duolingo's record-breaking growth and that ambitious AI strategy of theirs. We even threw out some speculative trade ideas. But for now, I think we should dive a little deeper into their earnings call, see if we can squeeze out some more insights.
Sound good to me. I'm really curious about how their venture into math and music is going. I mean, those seem like pretty big leaps away from their main thing, language learning.
Yeah, you're right. They are. But if you look closely at how they're approaching it, you see a pretty familiar pattern. They're using those same principles that made them so successful with language learning, things like gamification, personalization, and that real focus on making learning fun and engaging. It's not like they're just, copying existing math and music education tools. They're really trying to reimagine those things for a new generation of learners.
Yeah, that's a really important difference. It's not just jumping on the latest trend. They're bringing their own perspective and their expertise to these new areas.
Exactly. And their early success in math and music suggests this approach, it's actually working. Remember, they already have something like 3 million daily active users across those two subjects, and those numbers are growing even faster than their language learning courses. I don't think that's just a coincidence. It really shows their ability to make these really compelling learning experiences that go beyond just one specific subject.
It also says a lot about their brand, I think. People trust Duolingo to deliver a good learning experience, no matter what the subject is.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really valuable asset, especially as they're trying these new things.
Oh, absolutely. Brand recognition and trust they're so hard to earn, and they can be lost really easily. Duolingo has built this strong reputation for being effective and innovative, and that gives them a big advantage as they expand what they offer.
Yeah. And speaking of innovation, I think their big investments in AI are something else to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear that they see AI as more than just, a buzzword. They see it as something that could really change the game for education.
It is really fascinating to see how dedicated they are to pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI in education. They're not just, automating things or making existing features a little bit better. They're creating whole new learning experiences like that AI-powered conversation partner they have, Lily. And this is a bold move, and it comes with risks, but the potential payoff is huge.
Yeah, it's almost like they're betting on the future of education itself, right?
Yeah.
If AI really can personalize learning at scale, make it more effective, more engaging for everyone, then Duolingo could be leading the way in a real revolution.
Just imagine a world where every learner has their own personal AI tutor, guiding them through their learning, adapting to their needs and their pace, giving them feedback in real time. That's the vision Duolingo is going for, and I think it's a vision worth exploring, even if it's still early days.
It's a vision that I find really exciting, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. There's still challenges. AI development is expensive, it's complex, and we can't forget about their core mission, right? Making education accessible and affordable. As they bring AI into their platform, they need to be careful that it doesn't, create a divide where only those who can afford the latest technology have an advantage.
Absolutely. They need to find ways to use AI to make learning more equal, not to make those inequalities worse. It's a balancing act, but it's one that they seem to be very aware of.
And speaking of balance, their financial performance also shows that they're trying to walk that line. They're prioritizing growth over short-term profits, which, makes sense given where they are in their development and the huge market opportunity that's in front of them. But they're also trying to build a sustainable business.
It's a tough act to balance, but they seem to be managing it pretty well. Their projection of 27.5% adjusted EBITDA margin for 2025, that really shows their commitment to being responsible with their finances while still investing in future growth. And that's a good sign. It means they're thinking long-term, building for the future, but also delivering value right now.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. What does all this tell us about, Duolingo's overall strategy and where they fit into the EdTech world, which is, constantly changing?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that Duolingo doesn't want to be just another language learning app. They're aiming much higher. They want to be a leader, an innovator in the whole education market, and they're doing that by, using AI, branching out into new subjects, and building a whole learning ecosystem that can meet all sorts of different needs and goals.
It's almost like they're becoming the Netflix of education, right? Like a one-stop shop for all your learning needs.
That's a really interesting analogy. Like Netflix, they're using data and technology to personalize the learning experience, to make it more engaging and more effective. But unlike Netflix, they're also really focused on helping learners achieve real results in the real world, whether that's speaking a new language, mastering math, or even, pursuing their musical passions.
So it's like this powerful combination. They're blending entertainment with education, creating an experience that's both enjoyable and impactful. And I think that's a winning formula in a world where everyone's attention is so valuable.
For sure. They're tapping into that basic human desire to learn and to grow, and they're making it, accessible and rewarding for everyone. And that's a mission that's worth supporting. And it could have, really significant consequences for the future of education as a whole.
Okay, so let's quickly recap before we move on to our last segment. We talked about Duolingo's move into math and music, their bold AI plays, their focus on intermediate English learners, that balancing act between growth and profits, and their overall vision for the future of education. That's a lot to cover.
It really is. Duolingo is a company that's constantly moving, always innovating, always pushing the boundaries. It's a really interesting case study in how a company can use technology to disrupt a traditional industry, but still stay true to that core mission of making education accessible to everybody.
Okay, so are you ready to shake things up again with a few more of those crazy but plausible trade ideas?
I am always up for a challenge. Let's see what kind of creative sparks we can ignite today.
Okay, so here's one that might surprise people. What if Duolingo became an acquisition target for one of the big tech giants? Think about it. You got companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon. They're pouring tons of money into education and AI.
Yeah.
Duolingo, with their huge user base, their innovative platform, and their experience with gamified learning, they could be a really attractive target.
That is an intriguing thought. A strategic acquisition like that could give Duolingo access to way more resources and reach, let them grow even faster and expand even more. And for the tech giant, buying Duolingo would be a way to instantly get a foothold in the EdTech market, which is booming. They'd have this, this loyal user base and a proven business model just ready to go.
Yeah, it seems like it make a lot of sense, right? Duolingo gets the resources and the support to scale up really quickly, and the tech giant gets this, this ready-made platform to dominate the education market. Seems like a win-win, at least on paper.
Well, acquisitions they're always complicated. There are always integration issues and potential culture clashes to deal with. But the potential synergy here, it's hard to ignore. It would be really interesting to see, how an acquisition like that would actually play out and what it would mean for the whole EdTech world.
All right. So one more wild idea, just for fun. What if Duolingo partnered with like a major university, a real big name educational institution, to offer like accredited courses or even degrees?
Whoa, that would be a big move. It would really be a huge step towards making online learning more legitimate and closing that gap between traditional education and the digital world. Imagine, earning a college degree through Duolingo while playing games and interacting with AI tutors. That would completely change higher education as we know it.
It would be the ultimate disruption, wouldn't it? It would challenge the whole traditional education system and make quality education accessible and affordable for everyone.
It's a really bold vision, but it's not entirely out of reach. Duolingo's already working with institutions like Harvard and MIT to offer language proficiency tests. So it's not that crazy to think that they could, expand those partnerships and offer full courses or even full degree programs.
Yeah, and the impact of something like that would be huge, not just for Duolingo, but for the whole education system.
Yeah.
It could really democratize access to higher education, break down those geographical barriers and create new ways for people to learn throughout their lives.
That's definitely a future worth striving for, even if it's still a long way off.
All right, well, that wraps up part 2 of our deep dive into Duolingo's Q4 2024 earnings call. We've thrown out some interesting trade ideas, talked about potential acquisitions and partnerships, and we even thought about the future of education itself. It's been quite a ride.
It has indeed. Duolingo is a company that's always on the move, always innovating, always pushing the limits. It's a really fascinating example of how a company can use technology to to disrupt an industry, but at the same time, stay true to that mission of making education accessible to absolutely everyone.
Okay, so are you ready for the final part of our deep dive?
Oh, you bet. I'm ready to wrap things up and see what final insights we can glean from Duolingo's performance.
Awesome. Well, stick around, folks, because we'll be right back with part 3. We'll be discussing Duolingo's overall impact on the future of education, and maybe even throw out one more wild trade idea for you to ponder. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We spent a lot of time talking about Duolingo's performance, their big goals, and we even had some fun with those crazy trade ideas. But I think it's time to step back and look at the bigger picture now. What does Duolingo's success really mean for the future of education, as a whole?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Their mission to make education accessible to everyone. That's really inspiring, and their success could really have a huge impact, across the world. Imagine like a world where language isn't this barrier to communication anymore, a world where anyone, anywhere can learn new skills, expand their knowledge and just pursue whatever they're passionate about. Yeah. That's a powerful vision, and Duolingo is a big part of making that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. They're showing that learning can be fun, it can be engaging, and it could be accessible to everyone. And they're breaking down barriers, they're connecting people, and they're giving people the tools to reach their full potential. It's a pretty remarkable story.
It really is. And their commitment to AI, that's pushing the boundaries of what's possible in education. They're paving the way for a more personalized, more effective, and just more engaging learning experience for everyone.
Yeah, and speaking of AI, we've talked a lot about its potential, but we also need to think about the challenges of actually using it responsibly, on a global scale.
Yeah.
What are some of the hurdles that Duolingo might face as they keep growing and expanding these AI-powered things they're offering?
Well, scaling any business is tough, right? But scaling a global learning platform that has AI at its core, that comes with a whole set of unique challenges. I think one of the biggest ones is localization. Duolingo needs to make sure that its content and features are adapted to different languages and cultures. It's not just about translating the app. They need to really understand the nuances of different learning styles, cultural sensitivities, and just how education works in different parts of the world.
So like a Spanish course for English speakers might need to be totally different from a Spanish course for like Chinese speakers, because you have to consider those specific differences in language and culture, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To do localization right, you need a really deep understanding of the cultural context and how people teach and learn in those cultures. And as they add more languages and expand into more cultures, that complexity just explodes.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a massive undertaking. And then there's the whole issue of quality control, right? Like, how do they make sure that as they add more courses and features and languages, that everything they're offering is still high quality and consistent?
That's a huge one. They can't let quality slip as they get bigger. That would hurt their brand and it would go against their whole mission. They need to invest a lot in quality assurance, in testing, and in getting feedback from users to make sure that all their courses are effective, engaging, and free of errors.
And what about the technology itself? Can their infrastructure handle potentially billions of users all learning at the same time?
That's another big factor. They need to have this really robust and scalable infrastructure that can deal with huge amounts of data, traffic and all those user interactions. And that means investing a lot in cloud computing, data storage, and network capacity.
It's like building a digital city, right?
Yeah.
You got to make sure the roads can handle the traffic and the buildings can hold all the people.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And just like a city, they need systems in place to manage that growth, keep things running smoothly, and take care of their citizens, which in this case are their learners.
So it sounds like they have a lot on their plate, but they also have this amazing opportunity to really make a difference in the world. If they can overcome these challenges, the impact could be really transformative.
Yeah, absolutely. Duolingo is really at the forefront of a revolution in education, and their journey's not over, but they've already shown us what's possible when you combine innovative technology with a real passion for making learning accessible to everyone.
Well, before we wrap up completely, it wouldn't be the deep dive without at least one more outrageous but plausible trade idea. So let's have a little fun and speculate about Duolingo's future. Ready?
Always.
Okay, so here's a crazy one. What if Duolingo went beyond individual learners and started targeting businesses and organizations? Like imagine Duolingo for Business, a platform that helps companies train their employees in new languages and skills, to boost productivity and make global collaboration easier.
Ooh, that's a really interesting idea. The corporate learning market is huge and it's growing really fast. Duolingo could use their platform, their gamified approach, and all their AI stuff to create a corporate learning solution that's really engaging and effective.
Exactly. They could offer customized courses, track how employees are doing, and even offer certifications, all within their easy to use and fun platform.
It's a bold move, but it could be a real game changer for them. It would open up a whole new way to make money, and it would position them as a leader in the corporate learning space.
And don't forget about the potential social impact, right?
Yeah.
If they can help companies break down those language barriers and help their employees learn new skills, then Duolingo could actually contribute to a more connected and more productive global economy.
It would be a win-win for everyone involved. Definitely a vision worth exploring.
Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Duolingo's Q4 2024 earnings call. We've talked about a lot, from their impressive numbers to their ambitious AI plans, from their expansion into new markets to their potential to really change the future of education.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And one thing is for sure, Duolingo is definitely a company to watch. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible in education, and their impact is only going to grow in the coming years.
I agree. It's a very exciting time to be someone who's learning, and I can't wait to see what Duolingo does next.
Me too. So until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep an eye on Duolingo.
See you on the next Deep Dive.